Hello everybody, my name is Turk. Welcome back to the Grouch Couch. Around here, we do all different kinds of solo RPG things. But that's right, today, my friends, we're checking out All Night Breakfast at the Midnight Owl. This is very exciting stuff. My friends over at Critical Kit actually sent this over to me, along with Dead Boy, when they sent that bad boy over, for the purposes of making some content on it. That's right, so thank you so much to them for sending this over to me. I am a big fan of anything radio hosty, podcast hosty, kind of solo RPGs. Very much so, because when I was a child growing up, I actually wanted to be a radio personality. I used to practice talking. It's very strange, but I did used to do those things and memorizing scripts and stuff like that. Don't you pick fun at me. Anyways, big thanks to them, but all my opinions in today's video will remain my own, and that's of course thanks to all of you guys. That's right, all of you Couch Crew members. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I really do appreciate it. And truthfully, if you're supporting over at Patreon, thank you so much. I also appreciate you guys for just watching the show and subscribing and liking the videos. It really goes a long way to helping the channel grow and stay alive and everything else. So thank you all so much. I really do appreciate it. Of course, the Patreons and everybody get the extra perks, but no matter what, thank you so much for watching. Now, of course, there will be a link in description if you want to pick this bad boy up for yourself. But you say, what is on the rocket docket for today? You say there, Turkey. Well, my friends, I'm actually hoping to open this bad boy up. It's not a very big zine, all right? It's a little guy. It's got some roll charts and just some basic, simple things. So we're actually going to read through it, and we're going to do a little bit of an actual play here today. That's right. Overview and actual play of the Midnight Owl. And I'm hoping that it goes well because I do a lot of times enjoy games like this. I don't like journaly games, but I do like this theme, all right? I love the idea of the supernatural and the radio host doing the supernatural stuff. It's very fun to me. So we might actually do more than one episode of this if this video right here reaches 300 likes, all right? So make sure to hit the like button if you do enjoy this bad boy, okay? I might come back and do an episode 2 anyway if I can have the time, but we'll see what happens in the future. That's right. So I say, without any other further jibber jabber, let's hop over to the top-down camera and see what this thing has on offer. To the top-down camera. Here we are, All Night Breakfast at the Midnight Owl. And again, this is a solo investigative podcast RPG by Tim Roberts, illustrated by Simon J. Curd. Very cool. The illustration's a little odd. It threw me off at first, but then I seen there was actually illustration credits. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Looks pretty good then. This is just, again, a little zine guy, so no thing on his side, but on the back here, All Night Breakfast. Here we go. All Night Breakfast is a solo role-playing game in which you are the creator and host of a supernatural investigation podcast. From the award-winning creator Tim Roberts and featuring the inspirational art of Simon J. Curd, All Night Breakfast is a game about the supernatural, secrets and lies, and what it feels like to be an outsider in a tight-knit community. Yeah, because from what I can tell, Midnight Owl, that is the name of the diner that we actually live right next to, and I think we do a lot of our work, quote-unquote, inside of the Midnight Owl, so kind of fun. Opening her up, we have the table of contents, and I do want to actually show you guys, this is only 32 pages, not in counting the character sheet and the clues page on the back there. So it's only 32 pages. And the majority of it here is actually just roll charts. So we've got at least, I think, 10 pages or so of roll charts and outcomes, and the rest of it's a little rules. So, introduction. Our adventures, this is like what was on the back, our adventures play out through visiting locations in and around the town, collecting our clues and evidence, and keeping a journal. The optional podcast and map creation elements are also available if you wish to dive deeper into the game. The narrative involves themes of supernatural, secrets and lies, and what it feels like to be an outsider in a tiny community. The setting of the game is inspired by the Pacific Northwest region of the USA, but it can be adapted to take place in any part of the world. The general vibe is akin to shows like Twin Peaks, X-Files, True Detective, though it doesn't assume you're familiar with them, because really we're not very, but there are some really good kind of like, the Adventure Zone did a campaign that was kind of themed around, I don't remember what it was called. Anyways, it was really good. I like the Adventure Zone, if you didn't know. If you have never played a journaling game before, it's worth noting that there is no right or wrong way to tell your story. It can be as simple as a bullet point on a sheet of paper, long form, sketches, anything in between, right? So this is like basic introduction to solo stuff, which we enjoy. It was good they include it. We will be doing voice recording because I'm not a big righty journaly guy. My handwriting is awful. But anyways, we'll do what we gotta. The town. You've long had your suspicions that this part of the world is a hotbed for peculiar and unexplained events. After a little research, you have concluded that there is one town that appears to be the perfect place for you to take a sabbatical from your everyday life and work on your two real passions, the supernatural and podcasting. And so, after packing the few essentials you need along with your basic recording equipment, you left behind all that was familiar to you to head to your new base of operations. Surrounded by rugged mountains that dominate the horizon, the view is breathtaking, and the air here is cleaner than any you have ever breathed. carrying subtle notes of pine from the sprawling forests of the Douglas firs that hug the area. Most evenings, delicate mists roll down from the mountains, creeping into the town streets. To visitors, who mainly arrive in summer months, the town radiates an idyllic charm. The main street is impeccably kept, lined with family-run stores, bars, and restaurants. One road back from the main street, picket-fenced homes crafted from timber and picturesque gardens serve as residences for the affluent administrative offices or elegant bed and breakfasts. On the outskirts, however, the town's veneer begins to fade. Here, old factories, overgrown lots, trailer parks, and long-abandoned rail yard mark the transition to the untamed wilderness and beyond. Past the edge of town, the forest rises, sketching across peaks that stand like silent guardians of ancient secrets. Life here seems to move at a slower pace. The locals, though generally warm and approachable, greet newcomers with guarded smiles. Outsiders are welcomed as long as they remain respectful and don't linger too long or disrupt the quiet equilibrium. What is this town called? Come up with a name. Use the town generator on page 26 for inspiration. Don't forget to record the town name in your journal. Cool, I have some index cards. We're probably going to use one of those. But we have a town generator on 26, so let's do it. Oh, it uses cards too. Awesome. So, let's grab us some cards here. Which ones do we want to use today? I'm a big playing card guy. I've got a whole bunch on my wall here. I also have a whole bunch right here that I frequently use. So, which ones do we want to use? What do we think is themey? I don't think I have any good supernatural themey cards. I really kind of don't. I need to get some. Anywho, we're going to use these right here. These playing cards, right? These are pretty good. These are just these really cool Red Skull bicycle ones by DKNG that I really enjoy. They're almost just like straight up basic cards. You can tell they have a lot of wear and tear on them because I've used them a lot. I just really enjoy them. Pretty fantastic. Nice. All right, I've given them a thorough shuffle. We're back here to 26. Looks like we're going to do 2 cards. We have first value, second value, and it's just the faces of the cards. So the first value is 9. So little. Second value is king. Little Peak is where we're from, where we're going. Little Peak. Fair enough. We'll do us an index card. Nice. Okay, the Midnight Owl. Like I said before, it is a cozy 24-hour diner with an abundance of coffee and warm pie. And as luck would have it, the owner had placed a postcard in the window advertising a small trailer home and the rent behind. And they also says that they're going to give us a booth that we can do our work in, and they don't care as long as we pay our rent on time. Not only is the Midnight Owl your base, a place to sift through the secrets and stories you uncover, piecing together truths that had long been buried and rationalized by the town's collective psyche, it is also frequented by many of the locals, making it a great place to eavesdrop on the latest gossip. At any point you like, during the game, you can return to the diner and slip into the crimson vinyl-covered seat of your private booth, spreading your evidence across the table as you attempt to make sense of it. For creating local residents and other non-player characters, like the owner of the Midnight Owl, you can use the local resident generator on page 27. Sweet. Which we are for sure going to use. I love a good random roll table. You guys know I do. The RPG I'm making has 12 pages of roll tables. Okay, moving on. What here is this? The book assumes that you are playing in a contemporary setting where you have access to the internet and a cell phone, etc. Moreover, you're encouraged to use these in real life to aid and embellish your investigations, blurring the lines between what is real and what is fictional. There is a list of inspirations in the form of books, movies, TV shows, and podcasts in the back of this book that may help spark your imagination. So like we can whip out our app and be like, what is big? Type in Bigfoot. And you actually use our phone while we're playing. That's fun. If you wish to play in a different era, you can. It has some examples there, maybe filming a documentary on a camcorder instead. That's fun. The investigation. A trackable aim of this game is to collect a number of clues that will help to explain a strange event that has occurred in the town. To do this, you visit various locations in and around the town, attempting to uncover evidence that will tell a story. You will then optionally use these clues to draft and or record a podcast about this. The more clues you collect, the more compelling your podcast and the better chance you will have increasing your audience. There are 2 facets of storytelling that this game hopes to inspire. The first pertains to your keeping of a journal of your investigations in and around the town. Secondly, there is a story you will need to tell the listeners of your podcast. This may be embellished with more drama and presented in a different way, or there may be some details you wish to leave out. Fun. So we might use index cards for our little bit of journaling, maybe. Or I'll just talk to you guys, and then we'll go to podcasty mode where I'll talk and pretend. So that's fun. What you'll need to play: a pen and paper or word processor to journal. Okay, we have that. Several polyhedral dice. Oh, do we need those? Where in the heck will I find those? I also have a level in here to level my camera, my top-down camera. Is it level anyway? It's actually a little off today. Okay, a standard deck of shuffled playing cards, a character sheet. There's one in the back of this book. Cool, we'll use a index card for our character sheet because I do not want to write in the book because a lot of times I actually give books away to you guys, you Patreons. So I will keep this as is. Advanced play items is flashcards. We could actually use index cards, that's fun. Something to record our podcast. Done. Printer scissors to stick and glue photos into your journal. That's fun. An atmospheric soundtrack. I hope that Turkey is playing some atmospheric music whenever he edits later. Music is really hard on YouTube. You got to find stuff that's copyright free, and you got to find this or that or whatever. And eventually I would like to be able to pay for music, pay for a program or a person to create music for me. We'll get there eventually. Sometimes I just don't even include music in videos, about 90% of the time. But if a game ever needs it, I try to find something and I include it. But usually I just use video game music, because you can use video game music in YouTube videos. It's a quick little trick for all you other YouTubers out there, all right? Video game music. But make sure it's not like copyrighted video game. It has to be like the soundtrack. You know what I mean. Just look it up. Anyways, creating the podcast. Whilst creating a podcast in an optional activity this game, we would encourage you to try it, even if you just write bullet points or a script. Unfortunately, the author isn't an expert on podcasting, so the only advice he can give you is to listen to other podcasts and try to break down how they weave into a story, creating tension and hooks to keep the listener engaged. There is an endless resource of videos online about podcast creation, as well as a few suggested podcasts for inspiration listed at the back of this book. I love that. He's like, look, it's the idea, do it your way. Here's my suggestions. Love that. First thing you need to do is create the persona you will be in the world you are about to step into. You record this information on a character sheet. There's one at the back of this book, and you could download more for free on our website. You will also need your shuffled deck of playing cards at hand. Who are you? Let's begin with the basic details. Your name, pronouns, age, what do you look like? What are your life goals? Write as much as little about your characters you like. Maybe you want to discover more about yourself as the story unfolds. Can I be me, but as this person who moved to this place, who didn't have life responsibilities and could just move somewhere and just do that? All right, let's do this. Name, it'll be me, pronouns me, age me. Then we have our skills, our clue count, our engagement. That's interesting. Description, background, items carried. Okay, so we have all that. Back to the other page. Equipment, you begin the game with a few things in your possession. A backpack, several changes of clothes, pen and journal, your podcasting gear. Your recording equipment can be as simple as a cell phone, etc., as well as the equipment you have at the outset. You may find other things that you can put into your inventory for your investigations. Okay. More money, more problems. One of the things assumed by this game is that you are financially comfortable. Not super rich, but you do have enough money to allow you to quit your day job and move. I literally just said that, didn't I? That's so funny. Quit your day job and move to a new town to pursue your dreams of being a podcaster. How you came about your money also comes into play when a past conflict is triggered. This is explained in the gameplay section. Draw a card from the deck and compare its value to the table on the following page, or pick one that appeals to you. You can also make up your own source of windfall, but be sure to create something that could drag up potential from your past. Okay, let's draw a card here. Oh, that's that same 9. Yeah, it's that same king. Okay, next card. The 3. Lottery win. Sick. You bought a lottery ticket on a whim and struck it lucky. Now, people you barely know are popping up in your life. Sounds great. That's perfect. Love it. That's our character. Lottery win. Lottery winner Turk. Congratulations. Moves to the Midwest to start a podcast. Oh, okay. Skill ratings. Skill ratings define how good you are at certain things. You have 3 ratings. Assign 1 a 12, 1 a 10, and 1 an 8 to each of them. The higher the die value, the better you are at that skill. Investigation, physical, and social. Okay, that seems pretty straightforward. Let's assign our stats here. That is something I actually do want to write down. So let's do that real quick. Okay, here's what we have. Turk, the lottery winner. Social, physical, investigation. Very good. That'll do. Making skill checks during investigations whenever a prompt tells you to do so. If you're not guaranteed success, a course of action, decide what action to take. You will need to make a skill check, figure out what your skill 3s are and what they apply to, and achieve and make the roll. Cool, so 1 is failure, 2 is failure with no consequences. Oh, so failure with consequences, failure with no consequences, success, and success with benefit, basically. And this is a classic solo dice roll here, but they're just using different dice, which is very cool. A lot of times you're going to see when you're playing a solo game, you're going to see this same dice roll, but it's going to be with 2d6, right? And then on doubles, you'll get like critical successes or whatever. So this is a pretty common one, and I really like it a lot. And I always love to see the different interpretations of it. So on this one, failure with no consequences, you can also choose to roll once more to attempt to fail forwards. You can only do this once per skill check, and you must take the second result with the second skill. So failing forward is like failing, but also getting a success. You know what I mean? At least that's the way they're interpreting it here. In my usual mindset, failing forward is taking the failure, but making something else happen to move your story forward. So very interesting. Yeah. Okay. Gameplay. Each game consists of a single investigation that can take place over many gameplay sessions. Moreover, you can run multiple consecutive investigations as the same player by stringing together a series of games, developing town lore as you progress. You can also play it as a legacy game and pass on your notes to another player. That's cool. I love that a lot. Your investigation unfolds in 3 acts. If you pick up this game and you want to take my notes and finish them, please do. That'd be sick. Act 1, the lead. Here you will draw some cards to find out what your lead source is and the strange event it spurs you on to investigate. Act 2 is the investigation. This is where the bulk of the game takes place. You'll move between locations uncovering clues and obstacles to build up evidence. Playing it safe. Some of the problems in this book, specifically the events and encounters, deal with dark subjects. The author has taken care to not be too explicit, but if at any point you feel uncomfortable with the prompt, feel free to ignore it and generate an alternate one. Very good. Act 3, the podcast. Once your investigation are finished, you're ready to produce a podcast. Writing or recording the podcast is optional, but there are mechanics to calculate how your listenership changes in response to your show. These changes will have an effect on your future investigations. We'll look at each of these acts in more detail on the following pages. Very good. Almost reminds me of scenes. So like a first scene, we're arriving, seeing what's going on. Second scene, we're investigating. Third scene, final scene, the podcast. Cool. Ooh, we're almost to roll charts already. Wow, that's crazy. It went by so fast. Skill ratings. Oh, we just did that. We are to roll charts. Wait a minute. 11 over to 12. Okay. We'll look at each of these acts in more detail. Okay, I thought it just meant the podcast. Gotcha. So Act 1 is lead. Draw 2 cards from the deck. The value of the cards will determine the source of your lead. The color and value of the second card will tell you what information the lead provides. Alternatively, invent your own lead. Okay. So let's draw our first card for our lead source. That is an 8. A hiker who is currently in hospital and speaking in tongues. Oh, and what does he say? 5 of hearts. So reds here, we have leads for reds. So 5 is, he's speaking gibberish. So he's like, numerous blackouts and computer systems glitching. There are plague in the town. Each time you visit a new exterior or interior location in the town, roll 1d2. 1, the power is on, but 2, they're in a blackout. So there's always a chance the town is in a blackout. There's something going on with the electricity. A hiker told us. Well, I mean, wouldn't we know? Wouldn't we know? If there's blackouts happening, we'd see it. We don't need the hiker to tell us. But you know what? I'll take it. So I'm gonna write blackouts. That's our lead. Here's a sample entry based on rolling the ace of spades for the lead source and the 6 of hearts for the information. Oh, they're writing out the whole thing. Okay. This is a very cool, really cool example. This morning on my walk to the local bakery, I saw an old Devin Jackson scrubbing graffiti from the pavement outside of the local sheriff's office. I didn't bother trying to engage with him. He's been a miserable old fart ever since the day I arrived. Though I don't think he's reserved that behavior for an out-of-towner like me. I've never seen him talk with everyone. As I approached him, he stood and made his way out to the van, and I climbed inside. I could hear him muttering to himself as he searched for something, and he climbed inside. I don't know why I read that wrong. So very cool. This, I feel like I'm already getting the sense that like this could be super sick if we were to include some other roll charts, but I'm actually remembering that they have roll charts here in the back for NPCs. So how's about, let's pull out this local resident generator. Let's generate this hiker. Maybe we can come up with some story here. The hiker is Jack, black suit, Jack. Lucy, 4. Lucy Anderson, temperament, black 8. Competitive. Lucy Anderson is competitive, and she is normally a paranormal tour guide. So she's a hiker tour guide. That makes sense. So we came to speak with her. We came to speak with Lucy to get more leads on stuff. But when we showed up, she's in the hospital. She just got messed up by something. Something messed her up. And ever since she got messed up, the town has been going through blackouts. That's cool how that just evolved a little bit. Very cool. Like that. So, Act 2, the investigation. Much of the game takes place in this act. Before you begin your legwork, place any cards you've already drawn back in the deck and shuffle it well. This act plays out in a series of turns. In each turn, you visit a new location and hunt for clues. You must take a minimum of 6 turns and a maximum of 12. But each turn is made up of the following actions. Head to the location, scene unfolds, end this turn, or the investigation act. And you have to do 6 of them. Okay, shuffle time. During shuffle time in these, I call these one-shot overview videos here on the channel, and I actually have a full playlist of them. I actually have some really old ones that I'm hoping to actually update one day if I can ever get more time to do this more often. I want to go back and revisit them and do them in my new, better format. But anyways, here in these videos during shuffle time, I actually take this time just to say thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. I have a lot of big plans coming up in the future and a lot of big changes in my life, but a lot of this stuff that I do here on YouTube has actually been put into perspective recently, and it just means the world that you're watching. All right, and if you've chose to support any other way as well, I also want to say thank you. It's really cool, and I want to keep giving back and doing everything that I possibly can. And I've got big plans and I've got big ideas, and we'll see if they can ever come into complete flourishing here. Fruition. I can't see that word today, but thanks. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for being a member of the Couch crew. All right. Remember to be awesome to each other. Okay. That's right. Final shuffle, and we'll get back to the game. That shuffle just scared my dog. Okay. Act 2, the investigation. Much of the game takes place in this act. So, first we're going to head to the location. If this is your first turn, decide on the location that you are heading to. It should make sense with the lead that you received. During this and subsequent turns, you will use prompts to generate the next location you will visit. You should add to your journal some information about this location. What does it look like? Are there any telling details? What are the other sights, sounds, and smells here? Okay, I'm not the biggest journal game guy, so I don't do a lot of that stuff, but we shall see. Our first location should be connected to the first person. So we went to the hospital, right? So we're doing the hospital here. I think as we get there, let's roll to see if there's blackouts happening here. Well, actually, I want to assume that there is blackouts happening at the hospital, because that's going to be our first sign, right? Because she's saying gibberish, it doesn't make sense to us. But as we're there, the hospital goes black, which is so not good. Maybe it's not for a long time. We don't want people to die, okay? At least not right at the beginning. And the lights come back on and everything starts beeping again. But it's probably scary. Maybe when they do come back on, the doctor's like, yes, sir, don't worry. We actually have backup generators that are on now, but it seems that the power keeps going on and off in the town, you know? And we're like, oh, interesting. Hello. Yeah, I'm a journalist with Spooky Stuff at Night, the podcast. I don't know. What would the name of the podcast be? I don't know. Okay, so that's it then. There's no drawing cards on this very, very first scene, because if it's our first scene, we just decide. On subsequent turns, we use prompts to generate the next location. So on action 2, a scene unfolds and the new location is revealed. This is where the bulk of your investigation occurs. At the beginning of the scene, roll any die. If the result is even, an event or encounter happens here. Cool. Any die. We'll do 2d6, or just a d6. It's a 6, so it is even, so we have an encounter here. You may also make an investigation check at any location. On a success, you find a clue. Draw a card and compare it to the clues. And if you can link that clue to your own investigation, increase your clue count by 1. You may not always be able to link a clue to your theory, though. Sometimes, the narrative would also reveal a clue that makes sense. In this case, you could add 1 to your clue count, unless a prompt specifies otherwise. But you can only find 1 clue at each location. Unless this is your final turn in the investigation act, something is at this location. An encounter, an event, or a clue. That should also lead you to the next location. You can either draw a card to generate the next location or create any location that makes sense to the thread of your investigation. You can do this at any time that seems appropriate during the scene. To generate a new location, draw a card from the play deck and refer to the locations prompt on page 23. Each suit of the deck is linked to a specific type of location. Okay, so where are we going after the hospital? We'll draw a card, and since we got an event, well then we'll draw on whatever that means. Ooh, there's so many more rules though. I'm trying to read through it before I actually begin, but we're playing while we're going. So there's also rules for resolving other uncertainties. We have a yes or no oracle here. We also have rules for combat where we can succeed, we can flee, because we do have that physical stat, so we are rolling dice, and that's why I was so interested in this journaling game, because I like journaling games that actually have dice rolling too, like stat rolls and stuff. And then we have Act 3, which is the podcast, which we'll get to later. We also have optional play modes of map creation and legacy play, but now let's do the prompts. So locations start on 23. Location. Let's flip us a card. Where do we go after the hospital? That's a joker. I just seen something about drawing jokers. Drawing jokers. When you draw a joker, something related to your income conflict arises. You need to deal with it narratively before drawing again for the original prompt. So we drew a joker, so something related to our income. I think the doctor's like, aren't you that guy that won the lottery? And we're just like, no, that's not me. He's like, look, we could really use help here at the hospital if you want to help. And we're like, I can't, I'm sorry. And we just rush out the door. So maybe that's why we end up leaving. Now, location, 3 of diamonds. We have hearts, we have diamonds, the interior of town. And this is the 3. The 3 is stores. D6 on the stores section. That is a 3. Antique store. So it must be next door to the hospital. Why would we go there on purpose? Maybe we just leave and then we drive just to town and it's the first one on the corner of town. And maybe its lights are still on. Let's see. Are its lights still on? It said to roll a D2, but we can do evens or odds as well on a D6. So odds, lights are off, evens, they're on. That's a 5, so its lights are off. There's a blackout happening here too. But we're still screw it, let's go inside. So now we have our second location. There was an event here. Events and encounters. That is an 8. So we get the feeling that there's more here than meets the eye. You can make an extra investigation check to see if you find another clue. Interesting, okay. So as we enter into the antique store, we're just gonna be wandering around kind of looking at stuff, but the lights are off. So maybe we have our phone out, we're just using our phone flashlight. We're probably greeted by someone as we walk in, a little ching-a-ling, It's probably not busy. It's an antique store. I doubt that anybody's in here. But as we're looking around, we're looking for clues. So we're going to make an investigation check. And if we go back to our check section here, making skill checks. There we go. Our investigation, we've written down here, is a D8. Here we go. These are new pink and black glitter dice I got from Dead Heroes Dice, a local dice maker. Very cool. All right, so we're going to roll a D8 to see if we find our first clue. That is a 7. Success. So we get some kind of a clue, but then also, because there's something happening here, we have a chance for another one. That time that's a 4, which means failure with no consequences. We could try to succeed forward and roll again, then we have to take the second one. I don't want to do that. So now that we have our first clue, we're walking through the antique store. Let's go over to clues here. I'm also like backtracking in my mind. I'm thinking maybe the hiker had some kind of connection to the antique store. I'm almost thinking like I should have like drawn the next location before that narrative even ended so I could try to connect as to why that's where I was headed. But anyways, let's pull our clue. We have the 5 of hearts, footprints. So that's why we almost got a second clue. So we see a bunch of footprints. Maybe they go into the store. That's why we followed them in, and then they go out the back or something. But when we run out to the back door's locked. So maybe we go to the guy who's there and see, oh, I need to write things down before I forget. Blackouts. We have Lucy, who is hospital. We have clues. We'll put down a mark of 1 because we did get that one. Footprints. So now it's actually, maybe since we try to go out the back door, maybe someone stops us for some reason. Maybe it's not just locked. I'm just assuming. So let's go to NPC generator. Who works here? 6 of diamonds. Cole Nelson. All right, Cole. C-O-L-E. Cole. What is his temperament? 3. Distant. So he's barely even paying attention. And his occupation, obviously, on the jack. He's a tourist. Maybe, I mean, he works here at the antique store, but maybe he likes to go on tours and stuff. So maybe he's just dazed, spacing out, looking at an old photograph he has of a tour he went on or something in a different city. We're like, hey, can you let us out the back door? And he's like, no, man, I don't have the keys for that, man. We're like, did someone come through here before? You know, we're like asking him questions. Now would be a good time for a social roll, I think. D12. That's a 10, full success. We're like, did someone come here before? And he's like, yeah, someone did come through here actually, man. They just totally ran through the whole shop, and that's why I closed the back door, man. So you know where the keys, how long ago was this? He's like, I don't know, earlier today, maybe before the blackout started. Thanks, bro. And then it kind of ends our scene as he's not very helpful. Oh, I'm kind of realizing I did a little bit wrong. So you head to the location, right? And then while you're in the location, you do the stuff. And then you end the location. I was thinking location. That's what I was thinking. Totally wrong. So I did that wrong. So we should have actually headed to the antique store, right? And then while we're there, we do all this, which is technically what we just did. But that means we cut the hospital scene a little bit too short. So that's okay. And then here on action 3, we end the turn or we do the investigation. I just kind of got confused because a scene unfolds and a new location is revealed. So as it's like location, it says it a few times. So I thought we were moving through locations through this whole action, but it looks like it happens in a row. And we're supposed to do this 6 times before we go to the podcast phase. Interesting. So the footprints go out the back door, which is going to lead us somewhere. So at this point, as the scene unfolds, a new location is revealed. So we'll roll for our new location, which is the Queen of Clubs. It is liminal space. What? The sewers or an underpass. So maybe since we succeeded on our check, Cole comes out and unlocks the door. He actually does. And then as we go out, we see that the footprints go down into a sewer. Action 3, end this turn or the investigation act. Okay, so we end this turn and we start back up again. We head to the next location. So interesting. At this point, I'm wondering how the final mechanics work and how the podcast stuff works. This is totally different than what I was originally imagining, but I'm very interested. So then we continue up again. I want to do this a few more times before we move forward to the next act and actually figure that stuff out. The first thing I'm already thinking is like, I wish we would have like looked closer at Lucy's shoes. You know what I mean? Maybe that's something we'd do the next day, because if her shoes match these footprints, maybe we're telling a different story. You know what I mean? How did she even end up in the hospital? All we know is that we went there to meet up with her, and maybe someone in her job was like, sorry, she didn't come in today, she's in the hospital or something. You know what I mean? Like that's how we ended up there in the first place. But anyways, we're gonna head to the next location. So what does it look like? Well, first of all, it's probably got a manhole cover on it. Well, it's probably taken off. I was thinking we need to make a strength check, but it's probably taken off, so we probably don't even need to do that. So we could look down in there. It probably smells like a dang sewer. I mean, what are their sights and sounds and smells here? Yeah, stank. It sucks. So I would say roll a die to see if there's a blackout, but obviously the sewer doesn't have friggin' power. But we also have to roll a dice to see if there's an event or something happens here. If it's an even, we get an event. We do. It's a 6 again. Cool. So draw a card, compare it to events. We got the 6 of hearts. My dog is chewing on a toy. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Last page. Hearts. There's a witness here. Generated local resident. There's someone in the sewer? Who the heck is in the sewer? And why are you in there? Ace. Madison Young. Madison is in the sewer. Why are you in the sewer, Maddie? I'll call her Maddie. What is your temperament? Are you scared? Are you happy to be in there? Melancholic. What the? So she's just like indifferent? Like maybe a little sad? Why? Where do you work, Maddie? 9, she's a bus/train or taxi driver. So maybe we got some clues here of maybe Madison drove someone here that went down into the sewers and they chased them in here and she's indifferent and kind of tripping. Sometimes the narrative will reveal a clue that makes sense. In this case, you can add one to your clue count. Does that make sense? She drove someone here? Maybe we can question her, get some information out of her. So what is our social? A 12, that's right. So let's try to question. That is a 7, which is success. Nice. So like we talked to this person, Madison, down here at the sewers. Maybe they're just standing outside the sewers. Maybe they didn't go in, but they just point down in it. They're talking to us. And maybe this person asked to be driven here. We could ask yes or no questions too, which I think we should do. Let's push that on this system. Resolving other certainty. We have our D6, which I really enjoy, a D6 yes or no oracle. I really do. It's perfect for me. Here we go. 6. So I didn't ask my question out loud. Was this person strange? All we're asking here was going to be the question. So yes, the person was strange, and or the answer is in your favor, or another piece of information or event that helps you here. So the person was absolutely kind of strange looking. Yeah, I wonder what they look like. Was it like friggin' Bigfoot or what? I don't know. I don't want to tie that down yet. So I just want to say the person was strange looking, which I think will give us another clue. We can't get a clue point, but we can still try to make an investigation check as well. So let's do our D8. That's an 8. So full success on our clue as well. Let's get us a king going over here on clues. King of diamonds, a chess piece, a strange person with a chess piece. That makes 0 sense to me. 0 sense to me. So, and it even says in the rules, it was like sometimes clues won't make sense. Okay, makes no sense. All right, well, as we're talking to her, maybe she can give us some information on where we need to go next, because I've kind of got nothing. I think maybe the footprints disappear as they go down into the sewer. So like, where did this person come from? Maybe? Where did you pick them up at as a taxi driver? We'll do the 3 of clubs. Clubs is another liminal one. Sorry, this is a spade. Oh, I'm tripping. Spade is the wild. So they picked him up from the misty lake. From the lake over there? What in heck? So we head to the lake then. We're like, all right, well, could you drive us there, Maddie? Since we succeeded on our check, she's probably like, yeah, sure, I'll drive you there. How weird. She's like, they looked hurt. I don't know. They ran out so fast. I was trying to chase them. Okay. So we're heading to the next location. We end that investigation act. We're heading to the next location. So it's the misty lake. Probably surrounded by trees. Real calm and quiet, I think. And there is like mist over top of it. Maybe it's getting like towards nighttime a little bit now. It takes us a little while to drive there. We're out here in the wilds. And as we arrive there, we roll our D6 to see if we have an event, which I feel like I would just do events every time because that's a 5, which is an odd, which means no event. But let's try without, all right? And we get out the taxi. We say, hey, just wait for us for a minute. Maybe she can drive us back to town. She agrees. And we're going to begin wandering around here. We're going to make an investigation check, again, which is our D8. I didn't realize how much we were going to be doing the investigating. Oh, excuse me. I sneeze in every video. So we're going to wander around, just look for any kind of clues, I guess, around the misty lake. That's a 2. Dang, we find nothing. You know what? Let's push the roll. Since we've already failed with a 2, let's push the roll. Okay, actually, like, let's actually roll it. Got 2 again. Here we go. That's a 7. My dog's chewing on a squeaker toy. I hope that freaks out all your dogs at home. If it does, let me know in the comments below. This is a ladybug. It's his favorite toy. His absolute favorite. There you go. Take it out. Take it out. Anyways, we got a 7 the second time, which means success the second time. So the first one was failure with no consequences. Then we pushed and we got the success. So we are going to get a clue. So let's go ahead and flip our clue card. The 8 of club. Spade. Sorry. There's nothing here. You find no clues, even if you make a wonderful investigation check. Complete dead end then. Alright, had to take him out. So we wander around for a bit and we find absolutely nothing. We've hit it dead end, which is kind of sad, but I think we enjoy the lake a little bit. So we're gonna get back in the car with Madison, the taxi driver, and drive back. And she's probably like, well, where do you want to go? And we're like, I don't know. I was thinking about heading to Joker. Oh no. She's like, I'll drive you anywhere you want to go because I actually just learned, I was scrolling on my phone just now. I knew you were I knew you're familiar. You're that lottery winner. So, I mean, hey, you want to hang out? You want to do whatever? I mean, I'll be your personal driver if you want. And we're like, look, thanks, Maddie. I appreciate that. Maybe, yeah, we can exchange numbers or something. But you could just take me here. Here we go. 10 of club, spade. I always do that. I literally always do that. An overgrown trail. So maybe it makes us so nervous. She starts giving us the crazy eyes that we're like, you could just let us out right here. You could just let us out on an overgrown trail. We're like, I think I know my way back from here. And that's what happens. So we're out here by the river now, the lake, just walking back. While we're walking back, does anything strange happen? That is a 5, so no event again. I don't like that. I want to still do an event, so I'm going to do one anyway, because if you're playing solo, make games work for you. This seems like an opportune moment for some kind of an event. Walking on the trail. So we have a 7 here. 7 of hearts. You find some contradictory evidence to something you have already discovered. Oh no. Contradictory evidence. So for walking up the trail, contradictory evidence. Maybe as we're walking, this is also where... Goodness. I don't know. Let's make an investigation check. Let's roll for our clue. Maybe that'll help us. That's a 1. Dang. So we fail. Big time fail. What happens if we get consequences? Making skill checks. Failure. Something really bad happens as a result of your actions. What does that mean exactly? We don't have health points or nothing. Maybe as we're walking up the trail, looking around, maybe we see similar footprints out here now, which is weird. We're like, what the heck? And then we're trying to follow them. And as we're following them, maybe we fall. Maybe we fall all the way down a hill and we kind of hurt ourselves. It's the only thing I can kind of think. But if these footprints are the same, that means this person was maybe walking here, which means that Madison lied to us. She did not pick them up at the lake. She picked them up from the trail, which means that she lied. She is not to be trusted. Who the hell is that? Which means that, wait, if the footprints just stopped at the sewer grate and she was just standing there, that means that maybe she's the one all along, right? Oh, shit. That's, maybe she was the one who left those footprints there in the first place, is what I'm saying. Because why would she have chased the person, but then lied about where she picked them up at? And then as we go to the lake, there's nothing there. And it's because she lied about it. Shit. So we're going to head back. I want to do one more so we can actually do the full 6 and play this in the right rotation like it's supposed to. One more. Our next location is the 7 of Spades, a waterfall. So as we're leaving, we pass by a waterfall. We're walking back to our home, right? Where we're going to do our podcast. We pass by a waterfall. As we do that, is there an event? I will actually roll this time. 5. No. Okay. But as we're walking through, maybe something glimmers at us. Maybe we make a little investigation check here at this waterfall because we're like, maybe this is where the water's coming from and that's why the trail is muddy, that's why we have the footprints, right? So that's a 3, which means that we fail. So we rinse off there and then that's kind of it. I think whenever you have a scene like that, it's kind of sad because it doesn't move your story forward, but it kind of is what it is. So now we're going to head to the next phase of this game. We only got 2 clues. Dang. Yeah, because we got the footprints, and then the extra clue was just literally Madison, the person themselves, and then the other clue we did nothing. Okay. Act 3 is the podcast. The podcast is where you can bring all of your clues together to create an engaging show for listener. Depending on how deep you wish to dive into the game, you can just create a script as an outline, or you can carry on a full episode in detail. There's inspiration in the back of the book for this. At the end of the process, you will roll an engagement die to see how well your podcast was received. So it's an important part of the game because it can point where you bring together as many of the clues you've gathered as you can. It also builds another creative element into your storytelling experience. You don't have to include every clue, and the ones you do bring into your episode should make sense for your final conclusion. Once you have your script or outline ready, you make an engagement roll to see how well your podcast has been received. The engagement roll. Your engagement roll die begins at 0. For each clue you found in your podcast, increase your engagement die by 1 step. So we found 2, we'd only be at a D4. So I guess that's where it helps. Doing more scenes and more stuff in between might actually be a little bit helpful. If I had more time, I'm telling you, this is actually kind of fun. Beyond 5 clues, add +1 to your roll, etc. All right, fair enough. Then we have our engagement here. The most favorable review suggested you should give up on your podcasting career all the way up to, it's a hit. You gain 3D20 times 10 new followers. Wow. The epilogue. In this optional stage, you can write a conclusion about the investigation in your journal. This can be anything you feel is relevant, but here are a few pointers. How did the investigation change your perception? Are you more brave, or cautious? What more did you learn about the town? Are there any more secrets or clues that might help your future investigation? Have you made any friends or enemies during your investigation? Cool. All right, well, let's do it. I'm going to do a fake thing and just talk about what happened. Well, hi, hello, you spooky fiends, and welcome back to Spooky at Night. I'm your podcast host, Turk. Yes, that's true. The very same Turk won the lottery and moved away to the Midwest just to do this podcast for you. While we go out and we do the investigations and we do the footwork ourselves. That's right. No news outlets, no reviewing other people's stuff. We're out there doing it ourselves. Today's episode is actually coming to you from a little town called Little Peak. That's right. I came here recently because I met someone by the name of Lucy who told me strange happenings have been happening here in the town of Little Peak. But as I arrived to the town, something had befallen Lucy. She was actually in the hospital. And when I went there to check on her, the power went out in the hospital. That's right. This town has been suffering blackouts recently. I have no idea if that has anything to do with our investigation today, but it was definitely strange. Now, before I was pretty much bombarded by doctors who figured out I was a lottery winner. I actually managed to get out of that hospital, but not before I realized that Lucy had actually a business card to a local antique store sitting on her stand by the hospital bed. So that's where I decided to head next. Maybe I could figure something out there. As we arrived, some crazy stuff went down. I found some footprints, and I know what you're thinking. Turk, footprints, what does that mean about anything? But they were muddy footprints, and there was no mud. We were in the street of the town. There was no mud, no rain. So I thought this odd. And the footprints started at the sidewalk and went all the way to the back door of the antique store. So upon getting back there, I met someone by the name of Madison, who I no longer trust, by the way, because I think this is all to do with Madison herself. She informed me that she actually picked someone up from the local lake and drove them here to the antique store. But when we got to the lake, there was no signs of anyone having ever had been there. And on the way home, she started to go a little crazy on me. So of course, I had her drop me off right away. And I found those same exact footprints on a random trail out there, way far away from where the lake was. So Madison had lied to me. And tomorrow, I'm hoping to find Madison, and I really want to get a picture of her shoes, because I think that she might be behind all this all along. The local taxi driver. Is she a cryptid? Well, we'll find out more next time on the Creepy at Night podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I have no idea. Put that little story together. I think would need to do more, but this is very, very fun. This is very cool. I like All Night Breakfast at Midnight Owl. I like this game a lot. I think it has extreme potential, right? Especially, I don't know. I'm really wondering how much cryptid stuff is actually in here, because the clues were, let's see here. Library card, medical report, ATM. The clubs. We have gravity anomalies, visual hallucinations, moving objects, electromagnetic interference. That's kind of cool. The diamonds are objects. So it looks like the clubs and everything are like the crazy locations, because the clubs is liminal space, which is a cellar, desert campsite, a decrepit edifice on the edge of town, an unfinished street with half-constructed homes. Interesting. So I want to look at the encounters as well. Do those get crazy? Yeah. On spades, there's one. Number 9 is somehow, when you look at the time, you've lost an hour. Add 1 to the number of locations you have visited. The equivalent of losing a whole turn. That's crazy. Yeah, so there is some really fun stuff in here. We just didn't hit any of it in our game. That's okay. Oh, that's not even clubs. That was spades. Clubs is, what the heck? Hanging from threads of twine across dozens of Polaroid photographs, they all show the same white cracked wall. But on some, you can make out shadows that may or may not be human. Security alarms go off all around town. You find a piece of taxidermy that is either really bad or an animal that you have never seen before. Crazy. So yeah, the events also get a little bit crazy. Fun stuff in here. I think this game is awesome. I think it's great. It's a great little zine pickup. I really do. I think it's one I would love to revisit, actually. So let me know what you guys think about this right here. All Night Breakfast at Midnight Owl. Let me know what you think. All right. And if we hit 300 likes, I'll come back and I will do a full actual play series on this bad boy. Okay. So make sure to let me know. Well, I'll take it seriously and I'll do all the names and everything and write everything out. It'll be great. But for today, it was just big old example, one-shot overview of play. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in comments below. And for now, my friends, take a seat on the couch and roll initiative. At least until you find yourselves tuning in to the Spooky at Night podcast yourselves. Roll on that, weirdos. Let me know what you get. I'll see you in the next one. Hurrah-ba-da!